Yesterday in jujitsu class, I got choked so hard that it now hurts to swallow.
Yo, pause!
But then again, I was told that I sound even sexier now, so I guess we're into choking now. Got to keep them vocal cords swole, I guess. But then again, I don't want to hear about that becoming some new looks-maxing trend for men to start choking each other in an attempt to deepen their voices.
I've heard people say that too much of anything is not good for you, baby. But I don't know about that.
Now, as for the guy I was rolling with, I think that there was a little extra unexpected ego torque on that choke. I am relatively new to the sport, but I'm pretty sure it was excessive. I have come across that with a couple of guys. Anyways, the reason being choked out in jiu-jitsu is fitting for this video is because I spent over 10 years dreaming about getting into mixed martial arts and competing. I dipped my toes in the water with a class here and there over the years, from boxing to Muay Thai to jiu-jitsu, but I never waded in past my ankles. I guess I didn't want to get caught in a heel hook. And yet, during all of that time, I was still successfully able to convince myself that I could swim if I wanted to. It's so easy to stand on the shore and convince yourself that you could jump in and swim if you wanted to, if you've never tried to swim before. But that would be a very unforgiving lesson to learn the hard way. It is easy to live life on the sidelines, watching the pros play and yelling at them like you could do better. We as humans love to believe delusional fantasies about ourselves. We love overestimating our abilities. We love telling ourselves stories in which we are the hero. It's cathartic. It's how we cope with a less than desirable reality. It's how we avoid pain and fear and failure. It's how we justify our own bullshit. All the while we sit around waiting for the life of our dreams and all the success in the world to fall into our entitled laps. And then when it doesn't, we start going around looking for someone or something else outside of ourselves to blame to help us cope with our feelings of failure and despair, whether that be timing or our exes or our parents or skin color or society, anything that we can become a victim to. But I digress. Let's stick with this theme of combat and take the original concept a little further. Studies show that 6% of American men believe that they could fight a grizzly bear unarmed and win. This means that at least 6% of all men in America are absolutely delulu. Other studies indicate that the average man overestimates his fighting skill by over 4,000%. Imagine being 4,000% wrong, 4,000% worse at something than you thought. Forget the ballpark. You are not even in the same multiverse. One reason for this gross overestimation is that it is a form of compensation for low self-esteem. It is to help cope with feelings of inadequacy or insecurity. Overestimating one's own fighting skills provides one with an assurance that one would be capable of defending themselves if the situation arose. This will help them go outside and walk down the street without fearing for their life. This is where we can get into the territory of the Dunning-Kruger effect, which is where unskilled people overestimate their ability in order to save their self-image. Low-key, I do think that men are biologically wired this way when it comes to combat for species survival purposes. If we boil it down to procreation, women are important while men are expendable. You only need one man to repopulate a village. So essentially, the women are kept safe by the delulu men who lose their lives overestimating themselves to protect the village. Call it nature, call it nurture, call it evolution, call it what you want. It is what it is. But I am rabbit trailing again, so let's bring it back. We all want to believe that we are special, that we are the main character, that we are more than we really are, that we deserve more than we currently have, that our life should be like a movie full of highlight reels that would evoke envy from the people around us and fill us full of validation and align with all the things that we see on social media, especially in the years leading up to around 30, in the years where our prefrontal cortexes are still under construction and our eyes are still full of wonder and hope.
I'm okay. Sorry. I'll be careful.
And it's crazy how often we spend years telling ourselves all kinds of fictional stories about ourselves to fill in the gaps of our indecisiveness and procrastination and to avoid facing the reality of our average existence. We want to be everything. We want to have everything. We want to go in 5 different directions at once and have all 5 destinations, and then we end up going nowhere at all. And one of the reasons for that is because to choose one direction, we must be willing to let go of the 4 others. That is the paradox of choice. We sit around waiting for some perfect opportunity to knock on our door as life continues to pass us by. Fun fact, did you know that more than half of millennials today believe that they will become wealthy millionaires?
Oh, wait, you serious? Let me laugh even harder.
That's going to be a tough pill for half of an entire populace to swallow. That is a whole lot of disappointment and resentment to reckon with. And how many of those millennials do you think are even practicing what it takes to build wealth in the first place, as they answer so confidently? We find ourselves literally living in a generation of people who have convinced themselves that they can wrestle with a bear and win. But this bear is not a bear in the physical sense that you are thinking right now. The bear that I'm talking about represents our desire for greatness. We are living in a generation of people who spend their days convincing themselves of extreme levels of self-importance, of their entitlement to fame and fortune, who have bought into the idea that the average life is hardly even worth living. A generation of people with main character syndrome, addicted to illusions of grandeur. But the reality is, life does not hand out participation medals. Personally, I think that the midlife crisis season of this upcoming generation will hit harder than ever before. I think that suicide and addiction rates will continue to skyrocket, that more and more people will sell their souls to try to hang on to their youth and social relevance as all the things that they believed that they were supposed to be, or things that they were supposed to have, or things that they were supposed to feel, continues to slip through their fingers. At some point, most people must contend with the realization that they are not that special and that they are not destined for greatness, well, as far as they had imagined greatness to be, that their relationships are flawed and failing, and that most of their expectations were completely unrealistic, that they are just another cog in the wheel of life, all while they watch other people being validated for having more or achieving more, all as the person in the mirror continues to look more and more like wasted potential as time begins to leave its marks on our skin. Fight it all you want. It is a losing battle. I have just begun to wrestle with some of the bears in my life, and I realize that I am late to the party, but better late than never. There are some dreams that are no longer available to me, but there are many others that I can plant seeds towards growing within myself and within others. And I really hope that this video reaches some people and it can help inspire them to start wrestling with the bears in their lives. Because the truth is, until you stop dipping your toes in the water and just jump in, you will never learn how to swim. And if you don't practice swimming, you'll never learn if you could be great at it at all. Don't spend your life on the sidelines convincing yourself of all the things that you could be, and start spending your time finding out if you are. I know that takes a hell of a lot of courage. I was afraid to find out if I could swim or not. I stood on the edge for years looking down, waiting for the perfect moment or the right amount of motivation or for the wind to somehow pick me up and throw me over. Stop waiting. You will never be ready. Stop talking about it. Stop believing false realities that you have never proven with your actions. All you are is what you have done. You have to wrestle with the reality that you can't fight in order to learn how. You have to wrestle with the reality that you are average at best in order to become more than you are. Because it's only when you have the courage to wrestle with these difficult realities and make yourself vulnerable to them that you will ever be able to change them. So stop waiting, stop wishing, stop deceiving yourself. Go get choked out and find out what you are made of. Or you could stay in your comfort zone, smoking your copium, living life on the sidelines, fantasizing and telling yourself stories about all of the lives that you could have lived and all of the things that you could have done because you are too afraid to even choose one and possibly fail. Maybe instead you could live vicariously through video games and television and books, or at best, through your children. It's your life to live, as you are the only one who will look back on it when the curtains close.